I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are DFD.wmv, Velocities and Music, here today on a beautiful Saturday afternoon to do our 153rd episode, School of Seven Bells, second album, Disconnect from Desire. This is the follow-up to, I think it was 2008? I think 2008. Alpinisms, or however you say it, we're not quite sure. Alpinisms was a very poppy sounding album. This is a trio. I don't know their names. I know that the guy is from the band Secret Machine, so I was a big fan of their album Now Here Is Nowhere. Like, I really liked that album. And then I heard that he was doing School of Seven Bells, so I checked it out, and there's a female singer in School of Seven Bells. And it's very kind of dance. I wrote down, it's kind of a mix of shoegaze, dance, prog, pop.
Because it's kind of moody.
Yeah.
You know what band? Another band I'd compare this to?
What?
Cocktail Twins.
I've never heard of that band. I've never heard of them.
Just the overall mood of it. I
Right.
think if you ever heard of them, you'd understand.
Shoegaze, dance, prog,
Yes.
pop. I mean,
that's exactly the best way to describe it.
It's a very unique sound, and with the female vocalist, who I actually like the female vocals a lot. Like, I think that they're good. There is one song Tom pointed out that it's not quite. I'm not quite as hot on the vocals there, but it's very interesting music. Their first album was even more poppy. You got some really diverse, really cute parts with the vocals that just made it catchy as hell, and I really got into that album. The back half wasn't quite as good. Now this follow-up is a little bit more consistent throughout, but that's kind of a double-edged sword here, I'd say. But before I go any further, I'm going to let Tom jump in and kind of give his analysis of what's going on.
It's an enjoyable album. It's not bad. You can tell there's a lot of songwriting, lots of good ideas. The one main problem, though, is that while the sound and the style of the album is very good and it's very appealing, the actual songs aren't really that great, I feel like. I feel like what they're doing with the sound, fantastic, but it just lacks the songwriting. And unfortunately, that uniqueness, that appeal in the sound doesn't make up for the fact that if you listen to these songs on their own, not very many of them really stick in your mind. However, lots of cool production. I mean, it fits the style very well.
Right.
Like Jake was saying, kind of that 80s sound. You get kind of a Depeche Mode, only slightly brighter.
Right.
You know, and a little more up to par. I mean, you listen to Depeche Mode's 80s stuff. Obviously, the technology back then was not as good. But this is very on par production-wise with a lot of the electronica you'll hear these days. And there is more depth, especially in the mood, than there is in a lot of today's electronica stuff going like this. And now I'm not talking about like dancey stuff like Daft Punk or stuff like that. They're obviously going for something a little different than this. They're not necessarily trying to get you to move, per se, but they're trying to get you to think, they're trying to get you to feel through these electronic sounds.
Kind of new age sounding too.
Yes, very, very much so. But that's honestly, for me, there's not a lot more to say. Yeah, some great vocal. The vocal really is the standout.
Yeah.
For the most part, I didn't like the vocals on track 4, ILU. I thought that just got kind of obnoxious. So it's kind of hit or miss. But overall, I think the thing is, the backgrounds, the beats, while they're well produced, they're good. And they're decent for individual songs. As an album, it starts to kind of sound the same. I feel like they're all about at the same level of complexity until you get to like the last track. And maybe a couple other little exceptions, but overall, because of that, they all kind of wash together for me. And it's just a little too blurred.
And I completely agree. I think that another thing that adds to what you're saying, and my big criticism of Disconnect from Desire, is the fact that these songs, like all dance music, especially like LCD Sound System, other bands that are pushing dance music, they all do this. And it's where you have this repetitive drum beat, and these songs are extended song lengths, so that they just drag on unjustified. And it's all about the justification, because you can have a long song, and if it has justification, if there's reason for you to drag things on and to make it out, if there's a point to it, then it works. Here, sometimes I just don't feel like it justifies the track lengths.
Every track length could be about a minute shorter. Every track.
And I think that helps the album kind of drag on and kind of make the whole thing blend together more. And and it doesn't do that in a good way. I feel like if you were to listen to one of these songs or any of these songs just on like a shuffle, you'd really like it because it's so diverse sounding. They do so much cool stuff with synths and the different instruments that they're using and the vocals. It's very aesthetic and gorgeous sounding. And they do a nice job of incorporating that 80s kind of Depeche Mode style into that. But overall, as a whole, it all just kind of it loses its color. It's like if you have the color a vibrant red and a vibrant purple and a vibrant yellow, but then you start mixing them all together, it turns brown, you know? Like, that's kind of how I feel about School of Seven Bells in this album. So that's something I'd like to see improve on the next album. I'd like to see some more diversity, something like have them try, like, knock me off my feet and really go for, like, a change, you know? And still, but at the same time, you could even still retain some of that original sound. I don't know. That's just me. I like vocal harmonies, synths, great. Sound effects, great. Overall, I would still recommend this album just because I think that School of Seven Bells is doing something that's really cool and really unique in music today, and I want to see more of it. As an album, though, I think it could improve.
I think it would have worked better as an EP. And then, like, if they'd kind of cut it down and then maybe come out with a full-length album that just had a little more variety. Like, I know Alpinisms, didn't that have a lot more
It did have more variety.
I haven't listened to it that much, but from what I've heard, I feel like there was a little bit more to it.
My track picks on this one, Tom, I like track 1, Windstorm, but I really would pick Dust Devil and track 3, Dust Devil, and track 7, Camarilla, which I have the audio posted down there for those two. What are your favorites?
I'm going to go with the first and last track, Windstorm and The Wait. I love the vocal melody in Windstorm is just gorgeous. Great way to open it. And you know, maybe that's part of the reason I think it gets a little slower. Maybe it's just because for me, they hit the peak so early. But I think The Wait is a great closing track. I just feel like there's too much fluff in between, really, when it comes down to it.
Yep, and that's definitely arguable. I'm going to go ahead and just venture out a 69 on this one. Okay. So very close to a 70 for me, just because of the diverse sound. I think that there's some improvements that could definitely be made. I don't like the whole muddled sound. They need to find a way to separate their songs and make them more memorable. They need to make it more concise and more, I don't know, put a little bit more attitude in it maybe.
I'm going to go 63. Okay. This is still a good album. 60s is still a good range for me, but I just feel like there's a lot that could be improved, a lot that could be done to make this a better album, despite the good things that are definitely going on.
Great. So what do you guys think? School of Seven Bells doing something really cool, really new, but at the same time, do you agree with us? Do you think that this is really muddled sounding, or can you just get into it and love every track? Because maybe it's just a reviewer's curse. It could be. Tell us what you think down in the comment box down there at www.velocitiesandmusic.com. Would love to talk to you about it. But other than that, that's School of Seven Bells, Disconnect from Desire. Really excited to see where this band goes in the future because they have good potential.
Yeah.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
We are Velocities in Music, moving music critique forward.